this character needs to feel heroic at this point, John Williams could make him feel heroic. Hans Zimmer could make him feel heroic. Even you, Ashton, you could make him feel heroic, right? It just depends on the aesthetic of what the team wants. Like there's a certain kind of style that they may want. They may stylistically want to have a modern approach, and that comes down to what the team, what the people in charge, what the directors actually want to achieve. So could John Williams, like it depends, like could John Williams do a Metal Gear? Well, if they wanted a modern sounding Hollywood film with Brahms and stuff, probably not. I mean, it depends on what they want. Could he make a Metal Gear work objectively, like without the director? Absolutely. He could hit all the points that you need to. He could make the audience feel, some might say, even more so for certain characters, for certain situations. But, it all comes down to, like I said earlier, you're working in a set of rules defined by, whoever you're working for. You're baking their cake. Like they tell you what they want. And if that's not something you do, or not something you do well, then you'll do it badly. So a John Williams Metal Gear, I'd love to hear it, but it'd probably be shite.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I find it really interesting on that John Williams, Steven Spielberg recent recording that they did, like the big soundtrack that they did that pretty much highlighted their whole entire career. There was this conversation that happened between the two, and Steven Spielberg said, we never had to rely on anything but the orchestra to do what it is that we wanted to do. John Williams, of course, it'd be definitely interesting to see what would have happened if John Williams would have figured out the whole synth thing. But, he's never had to rely on it at all. He knows how to create all these interesting effects and with the orchestra itself and with nothing more.
I would love to hear a John Williams hybrid trailer, like one of those, one of those pieces of shit. Like, so, I mean, they're great. And like, but that, like to take someone like him who does something so well in a certain thing, I could just imagine it. Like with all these woodwinds, it'd be crazy. I'd love it.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Ashton, you probably know this guy. You know everybody. Get John Williams to do a hybrid trailer.
No, I just recently did this really, really cool songwriting project for some of the people that own the Simon Malls in the country, and I know some of the people that are sort of like on the board for these specific things, and so I'm constantly trying to figure out how I can, negotiate and network, but it's a very complex world to try to figure out how to not go too far and how to not try to be too greedy and how to really try to sneak in there, and it's a very complex world, but I'm trying my best.
It's a complex world, Ashton.
Yeah, definitely. But let's see. What about keeping originality in the modern world? Because like you were saying with the whole trailer track thing, like I feel as though like there's trailer track albums being released every other week, and they're all sounding pretty similar. How do we still maintain originality in a world that's become fairly static in its style?
Well, unfortunately, that comes down to that doesn't come down to the composers. It comes down to the publishers, really, because the problem, it comes down to the publishers and the editors, because unless they decide to move away from what currently works, there's nothing you as a composer could do. I mean, I'm writing a trailer, I help them at the minute, and I've had what I considered some of my best works, rejected because they don't conform to the current way of doing it. I like to think that they're quite musical and they're quite, they're nice and big and epic and all these kinds of things. Maybe I'll play you some in a second. I have the ability to do that. But like, and but it doesn't conform to what is the norm right now. So originality isn't a composer's, it's not our choice to be original, unfortunately, unless you are writing for yourself. Like originality isn't our choice to make. It's the choice of the people who place the music, people who buy the music off of us. Because that's what we do. If you're a professional composer, it means you're not writing music for yourself, unfortunately. You can be the best version of yourself. You can be the best at sounding like you, but you still have to conform to what whoever's going to buy that music wants from you. Unless you're writing your own album, in which case go nuts, go crazy.
Absolutely. Let's see. We had someone who wants to jump in here. Okay.
Someone said play it. I'm gonna play something. Okay.
Sure.
I'm
So lit.
I'm commandeering your thing.
There we go.
Can I play something, Ashton?
Absolutely, go for it, man.
Hang on. You see, like these will be too whimsical for you, but let's do it. Let's do it. Hang on. Like I don't even know this is a good one. Okay, that's just. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm very melodic. So you see, it's all about.
Yeah.
So I'm writing
Absolutely.
that kind of thing, but unfortunately, that's not what gets placed anymore. That's just not what people want. They want. I mean, I wrote a few of them. They want, the shit that's like this, They want that
Like
kind
the
of
hybrid,
big, loud.
the hybrid score stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Which I
Yeah.
can do, but like there comes a point where you've done the same thing for so long. You want to branch out. And that's why like I did those Monster High films. Like it was a good opportunity for me to stop doing. Because like my career literally went like Metal Gear, Call of Duty, Terminator. You know what I mean? Like I say the names and they all kind of sound the same musically. Like you can imagine them all fitting into that same little thing. And so like when someone said, "Do you want to do like a kids animation feature?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I get to use an orchestra for what it's meant to be used for. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And it's so rare nowadays to come across like directors in a sense. Like you have to have such a trust to be able to have a director who will allow you to go outside the boundaries of the norm and will give you that, permission to be able to like really escape the boundaries of cliche. Because it is such like we have so much power to like screw things up. I say that so much because it's so true, but like honestly, like we have so much impact over the way that the viewer actually perceives the film. And I think that, it's a director's, job to make sure that every single aspect of the film is all aimed at telling a story. And I think that, with director-composed relationships, like I said, Nolan and Spielberg, or, those types of things, you have this trust. And you have this director who will actually say, try out this new stuff, try out this, and it sometimes will actually work. And it's rare nowadays because there's not as many direct relationships, and there's not as much collaboration in the modern world where you have computers and you're just sort of sending stuff, and then they're sending it back, and then that's that, and then it's final, and it's not as much of a collaborative world. But I think that's what we all work towards, to have those relationships that allow us to be more collaborative.
Absolutely.
Oh, we have somebody in.
Absolutely.
We have somebody new.
Oh God.
Rob.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hello.
There we go.
That was such a quiet hello. Hello.
I've never really done one of these before. Is that
Okay,
better?
we good. Yes.
Turn it up, Rob.
Don't do
That's
this
one
up
thing I
on
love about
easy.
like we're all audio professionals, but we all continue to fuck up doing audio related things. Like our microphones are too loud, they're too quiet, you can't hear it. You're pitched down 17. I could actually do that on my computer. That's so fun. I'm gonna do that for the rest of this thing. I'm just gonna pitch me down.
Trying to do it so that I don't get like my graphics card, which is currently going overboard because it's really warm.
Are you Irish?
No, he's a
No, no.
northerner.
Oh, no,
Scotland.
No,
Scotland.
he's from up north. No, he's what, Manchester maybe?
Yeah, close enough.
Called it.
Close enough.
In England.
Yes.
Yeah.
Manchester is in England, Ashton.
All there is grass and traffic.
Grass traffic. I used to talk like that. I used to live in Yorkshire.
Oh,
I
I
thought
thought the Pennines, my friend.
I
Live up
thought.
north.
I thought you used to live in Battle.
I've lived all over the place, Ashton. I've lived everywhere. Battle, yeah, I used to live in Battle. That's in the south though.
Oh.
Don't you pick on my accent.
I love
Don't get me
Battle.
started, you spicy meme.
Okay. All right. So Rob, you said you wanted to talk about the trailer music thing.
Yeah, it's basically, you kind of already really expanded on it already while I was trying to sort out my mic and all that, but I've only just literally tried to write in that style, and I've realized very, very quickly, how boring it is.
Yeah.
Like it's a constant, you know, it's like a hill. It's like it starts off quiet, and by the end of it, it's just like, I know, I'll modulate it up in the last repetition, and then all of a sudden it's like that's what they want. Make sure you put gaps in between everything so the editors can easily cut to it.
Oh,
and it's
Jesus, I hate that so much. Put in the gaps. And you're like, but it doesn't work musically. And they're like, put the gaps in, or I'm not buying it. You're like, oh.
It's really, I mean, like I've always been one of these people who's really towards the idea of just write it. If it works, it works. I mean, because I came from like doing electronic music before this, and that does have set rules, because you know the DJs have to play it out. But it's very, very demotivating sometimes. But I suppose we've got to do what we've got to do to eat more noodles.
Unfortunately, that's our job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had this really cool discussion with these guys at End of Silence, like the trailer music company. I had like a 2-hour conversation with them, and Christian, who's the head guy there. They'd done trailers like John Wick. They did Logan, stuff like that, and they were just sort of talking about the sort of genetic makeup of trailer tracks and the way for which all of them are sort of structured, and how there's sort of different phases, and sort of like, you know, there's sort of different phases in fashion, right? There's sort of different phases in trailer music as well. You know, in 2010, they introduced the Brom, and then the Brom went crazy, and then they had that whole phase where they were really focused about making trailer music that surrounded like remakes of old songs, and they sort of done all that type of stuff.
How it is now, isn't it? I mean, nowadays
not as
it's
much.
like
everybody wants to rule the world.
Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? What's wrong?
I don't know why you're laughing, actually. Don't be silly.
Oh my.
What?
Man.
What? Did something happen?
Something didn't need to work.
It did work.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But anyways. But actually, Daniel, just to be true, that was 2013. That was the Dracula Untold.
Was it?
That was a while back.
That was a while back? How long ago?
Let me just check. Dracula Untold. 2014. Okay, so that was, yeah, it's a while back.
That's a shame.
So that's 3 years ago.
I'm just fucking around. This is all I do. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. I'll turn that off. There we go. I'm back to normal.
But yeah, trailer music isn't really satisfying to listen to at all, because it is like this exact same equation. It's like an equation, and they just sort of fill it in, and then that's that.
Yeah, and like that's what I was saying. Like, you know, like I was talking about the trailer thing I'm doing. I ended up writing. Okay, so like the thing that happens, like particularly when you write trailers, or more specifically library, like there are companies that do library for literally just trailers, and they are the most formulaic. Like they have to be you must have hits that the editor can hit. You have to have gaps so that they can cut it up. And then there's ones which I'm kind of leaning into where, you know, it gets placed in TV, like in documentaries, things like that. And you could be a bit more musical, but there's still like a formula to it, you know? And the problem I always get is you know me, Ashton. I love a melody, me. Like
Yeah.
I can't help it. Like it's almost a problem. And so like I write a melody or something, and I don't know why it just doesn't translate. I'm gonna play more at you. I'm just gonna play music at you. I've given up.
Did you ever find Daniel that specific directors actually specifically don't want melodies because they don't want people to actually repeat something once they're done sort of listening to it?
Well, I always do it with the hope that one day that, you know, like someone's gonna pay for the music, you know, like they sync it or whatever, and then they love it so much they want to buy the melody. You know what I mean? Like that can be a thing.
Yeah.
That could be a total thing.
All right, go ahead and play something. You're gonna play something.
Play something. Oh, okay. Oh shit. Oh, what should I play? Okay. This one I think got rejected. So you can see that's very melodic, like stuff like that it's funny because that gets placed, that kind of thing gets placed more than you would imagine, but like not on the trailers. And most places want the trailers, like that's what they think the pinnacle is. You see, for me, I'd much rather, like when I was growing up, I was always that kind of kid who thought I would much rather be the guy doing the thing than the trailer for the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like not to discredit or say that trailers are worth less than the actual project, but like it was something about I always wanted to be in the actual project. So I always write as if I'm writing for something with substance, like something like you're telling the story of the project, as opposed to just this is happening, be excited, bah, like all that kind of stuff, which has its place, and I just prefer to I prefer to be a bit musical with things, particularly like I say, after doing those kids films and being exposed to actually being able to go melodic and actually have some string arpeggios that do more than dun 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 dun. Doing something more than that is fun from a composer standpoint. There's only so many times you can do a Bram before you start going, okay, give me something meaty to do, please.
Exactly, yeah. And you definitely have your own you've definitely developed your own style, which is so incredibly hard to do because of this sort of static equilibrium and the creativeness of of composers nowadays. And you've sort of developed slowly but surely your own individual style that people can now say, hey dude, you have that whole Daniel James sound. And a few
I've been told by directors to make things more Daniel James before. That was a nice feeling.
I don't know if,
I was like, I don't know what that means.
You probably didn't, but I did this whole overview of the score that I did like a couple weeks back. It was this like big action short, and when the directors contacted me to do it, no joke at all, they sent me one of your cues, and they were like, make it like this, and I was like, damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
And so of course, it starts out and it's like and you have the percussion and then you have like the big brass and you have like the that whole thing, and you had the whole hybrid style. But no, like you've very, very clearly created your own individual style, which I think is what a lot of people aspire to. I mean, I'm still looking for my own individual style, and that's, I think, why I'm, studying so many other composers' styles and studying how they developed it themselves. But I think that, as you've said multiple times, you don't want to get too caught up in that, though, as well. Right? Like you don't.
Sorry, it's just funny because you were just describing a song. Like I was just like going through, and you were basically playing the rhythm of the song I was playing. I was like, shit, I do that rhythm a lot.
Which one?
The 3+3+2.
Yeah.
I do that way too much.
Yeah. No, but like.
No,
like
wait. Oh man, like this shit. Wait. Jesus. Like. Sorry, themes. But like, no, that maybe that's just me. I just know one drum rhythm and that's it. And then, whenever someone plays it, this sounds like Daniel James.
Yeah, definitely. No, but like each composer, like that's what I've understood by like doing these breakdowns, is that like each composer has their specific things that you can clearly identify. Like for example, Harry Gregson Williams very obviously always uses descant horn. Like you know what the descant horn is, right?
No, but you're very excited about it, which makes me excited, Ashton. Tell me more about this horn.
So, so when the horn was developed, right, there's two main sort of portions of the horn. There's that higher section and there's the lower section. Both are really, really hard to get to. So they developed two instruments, one called the Wagner tuba, which is theoretically a horn, and then the descant horn. And those are pretty much instruments that are designed to cover those areas of the horn's range. So Harry Gregson Williams, like in Prometheus, for example, like that first track in Prometheus, it's very, very obvious that that's a Descant horn because it's such a high horn line. And if you listen to multiple of his other scores, he uses it as well. And I think that that's one thing, like you've always said, is like you can sort of take that idea and bring that with you into your own style, right? And I think that it all really depends. Like, for example, Alexandre Desplat was a virtuoso flute player, so now he likes to write lots of flutes in his music. He actually, like, a lot of the times if you listen to his scores, like The Imitation Game and all of his other period drama style scores, you'll actually hear a full flute ensemble in a lot of different tracks, like the flute, the alto flute, the bass flute, and like a full flute ensemble. And he writes a lot of great lines for flute, so you can sort of take that and, you know, run with it. And I think that there's so many different stylistic approaches, like I was saying, and everyone has their own like really cool thing. Like, you know, there's no way like to not carry with you certain styles that you're inspired by, right? Like, there's no way that people can completely get rid of that inspiration that they gained from, you know, Hans, or that they gained from John Powell, or that they gained from, you know, Alan Silvestri. There's certain things that like you just sort of take away with you and that you sort of just carry on with you into your own style. And I think
Well,
that's
what I was saying
totally
earlier.
cool.
Like, the things you emotionally have a response to are the things that your subconscious clings to. That's why a lot of, you know, composers, when they start out, all sound like Hans Zimmer, because they had an emotional response to Hans, and then they stick with him. You know, like they don't really branch out into other composers. They don't branch out into other types of music. So they think, okay, I'm writing a film score, like I want to get this emotion, and they only know the way he does it. Whereas if you say, you know 3 or 4 composers that all hit that same emotional point, you know, they can all hit it in different ways. You can make a combination of those 4 things, and that becomes something different, because you know, they all hit the same emotional downbeat, but, you know, because you're drawing little bits from each of them, you know, it's something new. And the more of those emotional downbeats you have for any given situation, the more ways you can combine it to create something different. That's why I say, like, the most important thing as a composer is to just listen, watch, play everything you can, because you will emotionally react to things, even if you don't realize it. The subconscious takes it in. And that's who really writes the music, let's be honest. Like, the more you actually try to write music, like, with your mind, the shitter it is. Like, the more you focus on actually writing, the worse it is. The more you just, like driving a car, you don't think about driving a car, you just change gears, you move the clutch. You know, it's like that when you compose. If you just let yourself compose, you're drawing from all these inspirations, and you're using like your emotional viewpoint, you know, which is made up of all these different influences that have hit these downbeats, you know, through your life and things you've experienced. And, you know, it will come up with combinations of those that aren't a rip-off, but hit the right point, because you're pulling all your favorite bits from all the, you know, from all these different places. I think it was Picasso who said that, like bad artists borrow, great artists steal. Something like that.
Yeah. No, but
you know, like and that's what it is. You just have to let, you know, the more you just let your subconscious do the work, the better it will be, because it'll be true. It'll be from like not from the heart, but it'll be from your emotional standpoint. If you try and think about it, you'll end up just copying something, because your actual thinking brain is thick as shit. Your subconscious is where all the good stuff comes from.
Exactly. And it is a total like visceral reaction too. Like, automatically, like when we see a film, we shouldn't be thinking like, you know, what interval do I use here, blah 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 blah. It should really just sort of come out. And I think that all we do leading up to that point where we spot a movie and we start scoring should really be about determining when that time comes and really knowing what to do. And I think that ultimately, when we see a film, the story should carry absolutely everything, and we should have this visceral reaction. And I think that you know, depending on the film and depending on the substance of it, you know, there could be different levels of that. And I think that sometimes the worst scores that we write are because those are some of the worst films that we've scored. And they just sort of haven't given us that emotional content that we need to really be inspired to do it. And we're just sort of writing music because we have to, really, at that point. There's one...
Ashton, Rob's gone. Click, quick. Put his studio on full screen. I want to have a look while he's not here.
Okay, he's on.
Put it on full screen. Let's have a look. Let's all spy on it. Oh, wait. I can only see me. God, I'm trying to watch the stream and it's just me, Ashton. Get me off the screen.
There's a delay.
Oh, look at it.
He's
Robert,
back.
Look at it. He's got a back pillow. Oh, God, he's back. Everybody act normal. Can't hear us.
What's up, Rob?
But yeah. How's it going, Rob? How's it going? I just noticed, by the way, Ashton, that everybody else pretty much has left, and I get the feeling that's because I talk so much.
No.
Maybe I should move on. Maybe I should let you carry on without me.
It's fine. It's fine. I think we'll probably be ending in just a few minutes. I think probably. Anyways.
I also have just a thought. Again, back to using your surroundings and inspiration about your surroundings. I've never changed tempo in one track until this one day. I was walking. It was a nice day. The birds were singing. The sun was shining, and I was walking beside, and everything's like silent, and this atmosphere. And then out of the blue, the train comes by, and it's like a da 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 da. That evening, I got home and I started writing this piece. You know, this piece. I think it was like 65, with piano coming in and violins slowly coming in, and like a quarter in like this staccato, and the tempo changed, and that's the first time I changed tempo, and I'm just using the surrounding, just using what happened that day, changed the whole way I wrote music, just for that specific track as well. So, no.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful story. I'm crying. I love it. I love it. Nah, but yeah.
But I have a question. I have a question for you. Ashton, you've talked with publishers for trailer tracks and everything. Don't you think that creativity is kind of, because everything is exactly the same, like this exact for everything?
Wait. I'm sorry. I didn't totally get that.
But I think creativity is being lost.
Oh.
At the publishers for trailer music.
Well, look. There's of course different styles of trailer music, right? Like there's sort of like the John Wick style where there's like sort of some hip hop influence and you still have that sort of hybrid feel, but it has that sort of modern techno type feel to it. You have that really aggressive sort of trailer music that you hear a lot. Like for example, one of the guys that I interviewed, Daniel Baybaum, the guy who did the War for the Planet of the Apes trailer. Like there's that style and there's all these different styles, but within that style, there is really this restrictive boundary that you have to keep in mind, because there is like, it is like an equation. It's sort of like you have this equation and there's certain like fill in the blanks, right? And all you're really doing is you're just filling in the equation, right? It depends on which type of trailer it is, but there's going to be certain things that you really need to hit properly. There's going to be like a rising section, a falling section, and there's going to be these different, there's going to be the 3 acts. And I know, Daniel, you associate your style with that middle section of the trailer.
Yeah. Story, telling the story.
Exactly.
It's like you set up the premise, you tell the story, and then you get them excited for the logo. That's all that end section is. The logo's coming. The logo's coming. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Soon.
Coming soon. And it's like, it's one of I think the middle bit is where the interesting part is. That's why I say I prefer to be the guy doing the thing as opposed to the guy doing the trailer for the thing, because the thing actually has a story, so you're telling the story. So when I write trailer music and it's only that middle section, that's just me longing to be working on the actual thing,
Yeah.
like when I compose, I very rarely compose to nothing. I'm a reactive composer, which means that my inspiration comes from seeing something and interpreting it musically. Like that's just how I like to do it. So when I'm writing a theme or something, it's because what I'm watching has a story, and I'm kind of helping to tell that story, which is why it normally ends up way too melodic, but fuck it, I'll do what I do and hope someone buys it someday. I'm doing okay for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just why, I mean, I see Daniel as like more of like a really kick-ass like game and film composer. It's like because he has that like really excellent feel for story and like melodic content, which trailer music just really doesn't allow you to fully sort of use to its full potential. And I think that there's a lot of cool trailer music out there. I think that the best pieces of trailer music are the ones that really push the boundaries and innovated, like Zach Hemsey's Heist for the Inception trailer, and Yeah. Mine Heist. Yes. Sorry. But
I just don't think Heest is a word.
But look, like we don't a lot of the times we don't remember a lot of the classical composers in between, like the really, really notable classical composers, right? Like we know Bach, we know Beethoven, Haydn, Mozart, Stravinsky, those types of people. But a lot of the people that were in between those composers were just the people that were trying to figure out how they could push things forward and how they could continue to take things and make it interesting. A lot of those people were just sort of copycats of those big guys, and that's why we don't remember most of them. And I think that it's the people that are really notable are the people that push the boundaries and further progress the world of music.
But yeah, it's usually not.
Yeah,
the
if you take
composers
for instance Rachmaninoff, he wasn't really liked in his time. A lot of people said he wasn't a real composer. But I mean, listen to his piano concertos. I mean, it's a masterpiece. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I said earlier, though, Ashton, a lot of the creativity part doesn't come from the composer. I mean, like, okay, the composers have to be creative within the boundaries, but if the boundaries never change, you're bound to get the most monotonous, generic kind of sound going. And that's just the safe bet. There's no way to deny that the that is exciting. It's an exciting sound. It's designed to be an exciting sound. And so, the safe bet is, the trailer editors are thinking we want people to be excited about going to see Beauty and the Beast, so let's they probably didn't for that one, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we want them to be excited. So we need something that we know for a fact is exciting, not this thing that, okay, it's kind of exciting, but we don't know how it's going to translate. They're not wishy-washy. The problem is there's money involved. Whenever there's money involved, you end up getting to the lowest common denominator to make their money back. And so, you can't expect the creativity to be coming from trailer composers, unfortunately. Like, if your profession is a trailer composer, I don't think anybody is realistically expecting you to be the harbinger of creativity. What usually happens is you'll have some, like, go back to Hans's little thing, some kid in the Bronx who, puts like some orchestra with like a vocal cover. Some hip hop producer will do some cool cover with a vocal, and a trailer guy will be like, oh, that's really cool, let's drop that in the trailer. Like Assassin's Creed trailers did it a lot. They pulled in like these
Kanye West.
rock and pop songs. Yeah, and Kanye West, like someone dropped it in and it worked. And then all the trailer companies, it worked objectively, like people got excited. And then what happens is all the trailer music houses see, oh, okay, that worked. So then, like, they say to the composers, now you can use Kanye West, now you can use vocals in your song. The trailer composers didn't come up with that. They didn't, they weren't the creative pioneers. They were the people who, and I don't fault them for this, like there is a part of music where, you work to make money. That's a job. I don't fault anybody for doing what makes money. And, if the trailer music house wants to buy a certain type of music off you, you write that type of music, end of. Like, I don't fault anybody, but you can't expect to be the creative pioneer if you're doing it for the money. You have to go off and do it yourself, and and hope it gets placed by someone, by like a new audio director who's willing to look forward, because they're the people who have to be the pioneers. The person who's it's the audio director or the the music editor or whatever of a trailer who's brave enough to try something new with a big budget. If he fails, he's fired. Like that's it. You just cost us a load of money. The trailer was shit. We're never gonna use you again. But if they get a hit, then all of a sudden all the trailer composers have a new palette to play with, and they build, and then they start kind of, there's a little period of innovation within the new rules. But then it ends up just generic, and there's only so many ways you can sing "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" before it's boring, and then and then it takes, like, another guy will come out and it'll just and then you get the one note piano, the boom, that was a thing. Someone was like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then all the trailer music houses were like, we need more booms, and so that was it. So then there was like 20,000 different types of boom.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, like, there comes a point where the trailer guys, because they can't go outside the boundaries of it. That's the problem. They can't go beyond that limitation. They have to stick with the bomb. But then once everybody's done the most interesting ways of doing the boom, you just have to hope that there's someone pioneering creativity somewhere else. Because if you're a composer for money, unfortunately, creativity is not really it's not really what you have. You don't have that option to be creative because you have
Absolutely.
to sell the music. You have to be the
And-
safe bet.
And in a lot of production music as well, you can't be like too like specific. You have to be fairly general in the style that you're
Yeah.
writing in, because like people aren't just gonna buy like incredibly specific tracks where there's common like tempo changes, and there's like if you were to like put forward a lot of like John Williams tracks, they wouldn't really sell because there's constant changes, and it wouldn't really fit to one specific like scene, like in a very general sense, or like one video. But I mean, do you know what I mean? Because like John Williams writes in a style to which completely melds with what's on screen, and there's constant changes in the emotional content of what he's writing that a lot of production music houses would have a hard time finding people to buy it, because you would almost have to edit to that, and but it'd be a very complex thing to do. But it all really depends. Like in production music and trailer music, in specific, and from what I've learned talking to people who are involved in it, you can be creative, but it's a little bit more difficult because there are
That's what I
these
mean.
limitations.
You have to be creative within the boundaries. Like I say, there's certain types of music which work at any given time. There's fads, there's phases of trailer music which are popular at the time. So the trailer music houses who are commissioning the composer to write music want that. They want that sound. So you can be creative with that specific